If it isn't obvious, all the entities in the new subfloor outdoors update are extremely well designed. Dare I say even better than any of the other floors and subfloors entities, and I absolutely adore them. Now, today I'll be taking my turn as a stylistic choice of redesigning them. This isn't me saying that the designs in the game are bad. I especially love all the designs in the outdoors update, but this is my turn taking at them and redesigning them into my own type of style and adding in pieces that would probably make sense with the lore. So I'll be redesigning 3 entities today that you guys chose in my Discord server I should redesign, and I'll be doing those that you requested. Without further ado, let's get started with the first one, which is the Bramble, which was the most requested entity for me to redesign. When I first saw the Bramble entity at the end of the game, it was super cool, and honestly, I loved the design. Just the whole lantern thing and the vines and everything put together worked so well, and I loved how the design looked. Honestly, I have a lot of praise for the outdoors, especially compared to Floor 2 and other major updates, because it added so much atmosphere to this one subfloor that honestly, I'm really hyped to see how polished Floor 3 will be if we have this level of quality for just a subfloor. I feel like this is a sneak peek at showing us how good this is about to get. So talking about the actual design now, I decided to stick with the whole, oh yeah, it's covered in brambles made out of these natural parts with the lantern on its head. Of course, I didn't change those major aspects. So I did do the whole vines thing, but I decided I wanted to lean more into the wood thing, or like a tree thing as well, to add to this whole, oh, covered in brambles, but there's still this structural area underneath. Of course, I do love how it's just made out of brambles in the game, but I think it would be really fun, since a lot of the entities already have these vines around them, like the eye stalk, and also the groundskeeper on its arms, right? But I decided that, okay, since none of these entities shockingly have that much to do with actual wood compared to like the eye stalk, which is literally just a tree, so of course it does, I decided to lean into more of that wood stuff. I also decided to lean into the flower stuff, and I liked giving these little details. For example, I gave a little cave in its chest wrapped around with like all these brambles with a lotus in the middle, and I gave these pink flowers everywhere around it. I'm pretty sure it's a lotus, but yeah, those pink flowers. I thought they were a really cool detail, and I love the color palette as well, the browns, greens, and these pinks. I think it worked really well together to create a design. Some other small details are like how I made the body seem more connected compared to how more jaggedy it is in the actual game. Of course, the jaggedy thing is really cool, and I think it's really fun to play around, especially with the animations. However, I decided that, okay, I want these vines to actually support and hold up the head and stuff like that. Also, another small detail is how the lantern on the head isn't the usual lantern that the player is holding. Instead, I based it off of those lanterns that you can see on the trees in the actual gardens in the outdoors, not the ones that the player is holding, of course, where the ones that are hanging on the trees and have those chains. And I put the chain like wrapping around the entity as well, since I thought it would be a really cool detail, and also I love playing with the whole chain thing, especially in the outdoors, and honestly I wish they emphasized that more. Would have been really cool for the designs, but the designs are already spectacular, honestly. Coloring this was actually horrible. I mean, there was a lot of, you know, tiny spikes and everything around the vines, but it was really fun as well. Of course, I did shading, I did multicolored shading, you'll see later at the end, and yeah, that's the Bramble design. Tell me what you think, and on to the next voted one, which to discuss is technically the eye stalk, but people called me out for telling people to vote eye stalk, and it was actually the Surge. So I went back on my whole rigging and did the Surge. Before I get talking about the redesign though, you guys should totally like subscribe and like comment and all that stuff if you like content like this, art type of stuff. Please do. We're almost to 15K. Thank you. Now you're probably looking at the speed paint and wondering, wait, why are the birds the reference in the side of the corner alongside the Surge? And also, why are you literally drawing a bird? Now, thank you to Fishman for this idea, which I thought was really cool, but he told me about like the North American Thunderbird legend, which I thought was super cool. And since Surge has this entire thing about being lightning themed or thunder themed and whatever, and like striking down from the sky so you have to stay under roofs, I think it would be really cool if we played around with those little birds that were in the Doors thing and base it off of like a bigger version or a more more terrifying version of these birds. Now this kind of gives off Zapdos vibes from Pokemon, you know, Lightning Bird, but I thought it would be super fun, especially since we don't have that many animalistic type of creatures in Doors for entities. And now, of course, Doors loves sticking to randomness, but also I just think it would be really fun just having like Lightning Bird as Surge when we don't really have that. And also it really plays around with the outdoors theme. I usually don't do speed paints like this one where it's like, oh, playing around with only lighting effects, but it was super cool. Also, you'll see in the end result I had to put a gray background so the lighting stays the same, but you know, I had to do what I had to do. Now this is really different. I just played around with like adding lighting here and there. That was the entire gist of it. And also, some of the speed paint got cut out because I wasn't able to add the lightning effects, which I forgot, and then had to add them back. So yeah. Of course, I had to stick with the lightning effects, had to stick with the yellow coloring. Speaking of yellow, that reminds me, Curious Light. Curious Light is my goat. I love subfloors because of Curious Light. I could go on a whole rant about how much I love Curious Light. He's just the best, but, you know, I can't. That's for another day, another video. Yes. So yeah, that's Surge, that's his design. Tell me what you think. And on to the last one, which was the Groundskeeper, unsurprisingly. Now, I understand that I've been glazing the designs and calling them perfect throughout this entire video, but if there is an entity design out of all of Doors that has the most perfect design, it's the Groundskeeper. Now, I don't know what I could possibly change, so I decided to just lean into more the natural aspect with him. He is a groundskeeper, so of course he's gonna have all these things that a groundskeeper does, like his scythe and all his tools and his keys or whatever, right? So, yeah, he's pretty perfect for a design. He displays his function really well in his design. He's so well fits with his aesthetic. It's just perfect. I can't stress how much this guy has a perfect design, and they absolutely nailed it. Like, I get that Screech and Grumbles and all these also have a good design, but just from looking at them, you can't tell their purpose, right? This guy, you see him, automatically know his purpose. So perfect. Now, this is a redesign, so I do have to change something about him. So I've just decided, as I said, going in, leaning more in with the nature theme rather than just being a groundskeeper. I added these vines just hanging off of him, kind of showing that he's like, oh, tired from work or whatever. I also decided to lean in a bit more with wood again, just like how I did with the Bramble. I thought of it kind of like a scarecrow, right? Of course, a groundskeeper and a scarecrow aren't that similar, but the appearances of both kind of were similar to me, so I thought, especially with the hat and like the scarf around him, that, you know what, I'm gonna like lean into that. I also gave him a cool like blade on one of his arms with like a rake on a chain, kind of like it. I gave a lot more chains. I loved adding chains to this guy's design. You know, I've started to notice that Doors has been leaning more into the humanoid thing, especially with the updates, and there's a lot of humanoids in Doors, which is kind of surprising, but I mean, it's a pretty safe bet to go compared to like, oh, creating something based off of an animal or whatever. So yeah, the design is basically the same. This looks a lot like fan art, but I did just lean into wood, made the face like half and half colored. I changed the color palette to be more green, you can tell, and a lot of it is pretty much just the same different color palette with tiny different details. I love it. I love his design, and the redesign, it's like basically the same, just with a few more details. Like, there's not much to change about this guy. I did him because he was the second most voted, so honestly, why not? Honestly, I mean, whoever made the Groundskeeper deserves a raise. I've been saying how perfect he is for like the past 5 minutes or so or whatever. It's just so good. So good. Okay, I did shading, I did lighting, did the same method I did with the Bramble, stuff like that. It was overall fun. I like drawing this guy, just because his design is good, not because I thought the redesign was great. The redesign's okay, whatever. So yeah, those were all my redesigns for these 3 entities that y'all chose to vote on. If you want to vote on things like this or choose what video I make next, feel free to join the Discord. I'll be doing a bunch of cool stuff there, stuff like game nights or whatever. So yeah, feel free to join, subscribe, like, and of course, drink water.